G'day fellas, and welcome back to the channel. Quick recap of last week, we went 2 from 2, which gave us a perfect 75% win rate. And it is officially time for the Grand Final. This is it. Going back to earlier in the season, you kind of projected that these two teams would probably be there. These two teams have been the best two teams this entire season. The Panthers win over the Storm was the biggest prelim final win of the NRL era. Pretty crazy. Luai did look amazing in the game, wasn't trying to do too much, and it really benefited the team. The Broncos looked unbelievable. The Warriors looked so strong going into that game. They were at full strength, and the Broncos just made them look terrible. The best part is both lineups are at full strength, no injuries, and it should be an amazing matchup. The most anticipated grand final in a very long time. I personally haven't been this excited, I don't even think ever. Probably already my favorite grand final ever, seeing how close these two teams are. Now, there's no heavy favorite unlike a lot of other years, and I wouldn't be surprised if either team won. The biggest difference in this game will be the defense. Defense wins championships, and that is the biggest seller for me. Both teams come in so strong on defense, with the Panthers allowing a total of 100 less points per season. The series is split with these two as well. Round 1, the Broncos picked up a golden point win at Bluebet, which despite being in round 1 means a lot more this long later. Maybe the Panthers thought it'd be an easy game and took a lighter, I don't know, but the Broncos know how to beat the Panthers. Yes, it's a feel out that early on in the season and mainly to see how the teams mesh and all that, but the Broncos have done it before. The Broncos did fall to the Panthers at Suncorp, however, but the Broncos were without Adam Reynolds in that matchup, which leads to my first point as to how to beat the Panthers. Adam Reynolds needs to be on fire in this game. Maybe an early 40-20, something that makes the Panthers feel uncomfortable. If you can get out an early lead, they tend to struggle. You beat the Panthers by taking them out of their element. You let them control the game, which they tend to do. They typically win. The Storm's logic with the injuries was to take out Cleary. We saw Big Nelson try it twice. That's not how you beat the Panthers. The biggest key for me is to not to try to outpace the Panthers, because teams think they've worked them out. Teams come out playing at 130%, and most teams fall flat on their face. It was quite laughable midway through the season seeing teams come out and play 130%, knowing that that is not maintainable, and then getting blown out later on in that game. I don't know why teams kept trying this as well. It's almost like they all had a big meeting and said, hey, just come out and play 140% for the first 20 minutes of the game and you just win. This never worked. Not a single time this worked. And yet almost every team came out thinking that this was the strategy. I am telling you, as a Panthers fan, that is not how you beat the Panthers. So whilst these teams come out playing 130%, they drop to 70% eventually, and meanwhile the Panthers are playing at a cool, calm, collected 100% the whole way through and eventually beat up on you. Most notable and recently, if you want a physical example, is when the Warriors took on the Panthers. Yes, there was no Sean Johnson, but they came out playing at an unmaintainable pace, which ultimately led to their downfall. Eventually got tired because he can't play like that for very long, and then lost 32-6. It is a failing strategy. Now, the Panthers are very experienced. Most of these players have been here before, not just last year, but the year before that, and some of them the year before that. My biggest concern with the Broncos is an error-prone Reece Walsh. He leads the NRL in errors by quite a big margin. Will he get caught trying to do too much because it is the grand final? He's the biggest part of this attack outside of Adam Reynolds, and when the Broncos have had issues in attack, Reece Walsh is typically in the center of it. Games where Adam Reynolds was out and the Broncos lost wasn't really because Adam Reynolds wasn't there. Yes, obviously that does contribute, but Reece Walsh typically got caught trying to do too much, opposed to just slightly changing the approach of the offense to better complement the team. He was trying to beat Adam Reynolds and Reece Walsh at the same time, and that's when they would lose. Those potential errors, though, do pay the biggest dividends for the Broncos, and when Reece hits with his cutouts and line breaks, no matter the defense, the Broncos can drop 50 points really easily. Adam Reynolds is the facilitator, but if the Panthers can shut down Reece Walsh, I really do think the Broncos go down a notch and the Panthers should be able to win. One last thing to point out is that it is Critter's last game with Penrith. Critter is a monstrous problem for any team really, who definitely want this win a little bit more than normal, as it's probably the last time he plays with his best mates. All in all, I do think there's a higher chance the Panthers defense makes Reece uncomfortable, opposed to the Broncos taking the Panthers out of their element. They're the much more experienced team, and I'm going to take the Panthers 1-12. Like I said, I would not be surprised if either team won, but I really do think this is the best grand final matchup in recent history. I'm talking the last 20, 30 years. At least to my knowledge, there has never been two teams that have been so neck and neck. I guess to an extent you could say Manly and the Storm all those years ago, like 2008 or 5 or something like that. They played like 3 in a row. They were pretty neck and neck throughout that series, but there has never been two teams that are so head and shoulders above the rest of the NRL that have both made the grand final and done it in incredibly impressive fashion. 38-4 to the Panthers, 42-12 to the Warriors. Like, they are blowouts. And now we get to see both of these teams go at it yet again, once again, with a 1-1 series split in the regular season. I can't wait. I literally cannot wait for this grand final. But fellas, let me know your predictions down in the comment section. If you made it this far in the video, you are the real MVP. I hope the rest of your day is awesome. And for me personally, I'm out. Peace.